All right. I know everyone wants to hear my crappy opinion on stuff, but let me go ahead and give my take on this. So I was talking about Twitter on the live stream a little bit, this and that, and I happened to look on my Twitter. Man, I looked through various different folks, and it came back to a tweet from Lo-Fi Republican, a guy who I followed off and on Twitter. And like I say, in general, he's had, I guess, hot takes here and there, but I guess what he says is, why should we allow all these Afghani refugees when there's 500,000 homeless? And of course, they show this you and tweets where he says, find you a homeless GF and all this sort of thing, and screw the homeless and all that sort of thing, and repeated memes, of course. Oh, just pitiful. But I thought about this. Let's argue about it from a different angle. Let's go ahead and, like I say, if we're doing it with a string, and we're talking about this issue, let's go ahead and change that string and do it from a different angle. Because I've heard this straw man where it's like, if there were more immigrants, they would vote for left-wing, they would vote for left-wing values. They'd vote for that sort of thing. And to me, I would say that's not completely true, in my opinion. Because this kind of feeds into a lot of the normal talking points where it's like, we're going to bring people in so we can have better food, this and that. And of course, kind of rubs vegans the wrong way because a lot of folks aren't, they eat meat. But, the thing is let me think about my words very carefully here, but immigrants that become big, that want to start a business, for example, they would probably get sucked into the Republican void pretty quickly because they'll talk about lower taxes on businesses and about protecting business. Now, of course, they mean corporations. They don't mean small mom and pop businesses. But the thing is, though, is that would be encouraging to a lot of immigrants and refugees who want to start a business. So that's a point against this sort of idea where it's just like, well, of course they're going to vote for left-wing parties. Another point is the long term. I think that refugees on the left are fetishized. They're fetishized immensely because, of course, the left is a grab bag of various different things. Same thing with the right. But the left in particular is made up of atheists. And I think that that would come into conflict with Afghans who may be observing Muslims or not. But they would still at least value some Islamic, ideas. And, like I say, if you live in an Islamic country of any length of time, you're going to at least, that's going to have spillover. It's the same thing with Christian values, quote unquote, being in the United States, right? So as much as you want to shame religion and whatnot, the thing is, of course, this is why there's kind of this pushback where it's like, well, religion is bad, but we don't want to destroy churches. We want to change people. Basically, we want to take your kids, sort of thing, right? The thing is this, is to me that the left wing will use these folks. Just the same thing as these Palestinians who hold up the Palestinian flag outside of the White House, or excuse me, outside of the White House when the new Prime Minister of Israel, Naftali Bennett, goes to meet with the President of the United States while he's falling asleep. But, that's a whole different story. The thing is that they don't realize that they are being used. And I think that they will continue to be in a box where it's like, if they just talk about this sort of Zionist, being against, they're just anti-Zionist and, Jews and Palestinians can get along, and this sort of kumbaya, like let's shake hands sort of type of thing. It's equally idealist. If you want to say that this sort of right-wing idea that, we can become traditional again and everyone will become a Catholic and white and everything. Look, I don't expect that to happen. But I equally don't believe that somehow we're all going to be holding hands and it's going to be glorious. This is the meme that's pushed on the left, broadly speaking, that if we just allow refugees, it'll be great. If we just allow Vietnamese immigrants, it'll be great. It's just like, the thing is that these communities, like I say, just as the infamously racist terms, like Koreatown or Chinatown, there will be Afghan town, right? There will be areas, where only Afghanis live. And I know people will say, but if we just change the laws and everything, I don't think, my personal opinion is this. I personally don't think you could change the districting laws. You can change the sort of, how cities are set up and, between the rich side and poor side of town, this and that. I personally don't think it'll make a difference. Is that some people will naturally gravitate towards a certain area for these folks? And yeah, that's my opinion anyway, right? Of course, people will say, no, it's not true. We can all get along and everything else like that. We can all just hold hands. That's idealism. It's idealism. To think that way. And that's something I thought idealism was pushed on the right. What are your sort of, like I say, but to me, they don't realize that they have become the enemy. This idea that, we can all just get along, and if we just allow Afghan refugees into the country, The thing is, though, is you have to bend to the will of the system. And the thing is, that's even the case with left-wing ideas as well. If you hold a more reactionary view, or you may hold values where it's like, well, I don't hate Islam, and you're Afghani coming into a left-wing organization, they're going to look at you side-eye. And you're going to be given peer pressure. Another issue could be this, is that, you play along and you do all the parties and you're left wing and, you watch Lord of the Rings and you try to be a big brain dude and all this sort of thing. And you're never good enough for them. And they'll accuse you of rape or something else like that, and you're canceled. I know, like I said, this is a huge hypothetical, but it has occurred. There was the candidate for, I think it was CPUSA. I can't remember which one. But, he was accused of, I think he was accused of rape or something like that. Not too long ago. I can't think of it. If someone knows what I'm talking about, type it down below. But to me, this idea where it's like, well, they'll vote for left-wing social democratic policies if we can, take care of the homeless, this and that. It's just like, but then you see videos of homeless people talking, they'll say, I'd rather live on the street than live in the housing that these folks provide us. And it's just like, so I'm not going to sit here and do the whole, we should take care of the homeless instead of the refugees and whatnot. It's like, yeah, ultimately, I think it's a bad argument regardless. That's what I think. I just think it's a bad argument. Yeah, we should take care of the homeless. But there are numerous issues that I can agree with left-wing folks about. It's like, yeah, if they have mental illness issues, if they have, drug abuse issues or alcoholic issues, maybe stemming from the mental health issues, then you need to find some way of trying to ease that tension. But there's also an ingrained sort of belief where it's like, you don't trust the system. because the system doesn't care about you, sort of thing, right? So how long will it take? And what sort of campaign are you going to do to change the attitude of people? And that's the real struggle, isn't it? Like I say, the war itself, I'll say this, the Civil War, whatever the case may be, that's the easier stuff. The afterward is what is important. Of who sets up what, who is in control of the weapons, and who gets to decide on, what sort of, taxes are approved, this and that. So that's what's important. Not necessarily what occurs with the Civil War. The Civil War is just the set-off, right? To allow other LARPers and other folks that may genuinely believe what they, preach what they, they practice what they preach, but once they get into office, it's a whole other thing, right? I think that, if you really look at on the whole of, let's say, Vietnamese immigrants, we'll put it that way, like Vietnamese and Hmong people who left after the fall of Vietnam in 1975 to the North Vietnamese, how many really have integrated, so to speak, into American society, and how many continue to speak Vietnamese, speak English just a little bit, but mostly they stay in their own little areas where, they may have a job, but have they gone further? Have their kids gone further than them? Or have the kids decided to stay within that little community where they don't have to rely on these things? The real thing what I'm leading up to is this, I think, is unfortunately lefties are not very good at providing good rhetoric and good, dare I say, propaganda to get people to believe in the here and now. Ultimately, lefties of various tribes, whether it's Marxist-Leninism or whether it's whichever, anarchism, they admit that it would, for all their policies to take place, the whole gender abolition, race abolition type stuff, they admit that it would take hundreds of years. That's very disheartening. That's very disheartening for people. Because people say, I want the change now. I want to be able to, whatever, live as I want to, right? So it's very, very disheartening. And unless you're a big brain person who just, and even then, when you say it will take hundreds of years, the fact is that it will never go the way you want it to. This is the whole idea of living in the time, right? People get so concerned about Ben Shapiro that they don't think about, what could happen around the corner, right? I don't get it. But this is like I say, you get so, I'll put it this way. I'm going to end this schizo rant with this schizo babble with this, that the U.S. is so divided. There are so many people who just think they have the answer, whether it's people like Vosh or whatever the case may be, or they think they have a better solution. I'll put it that way. That they have better answers to questions. That they're more self-righteous than so-called right-wingers. And that's dangerous to me. When you think that you're better and you just think that your ideas are, and they will continue on regardless, and they will do whatever they can to make those ideas work. Oh boy, I think that's it though. I think that's it. It's just saying that this idea that immigrants and refugees would automatically join the left, I think, is oversimplified. Yeah, some will, but I think that they may hold views that you would consider to be right wing in some ways, I'm sure. Protect their family, this and that. You hear all the time, oh, screw your family, this and that. You have this immense hatred of family that does exist, or I'll put it this way. There is a vein within left-wing ideas where the family is bad, right? I have never read, although it is somewhere on my shelf, The Origins of the Family by Engels. And I think that has screwed a lot of people up. And I think that's something that if you look at any other culture besides the United States, or let's say outside of the West even, where it's like, yeah, your family is important. Your family is all you have. And your name is all you have. That does exist to a point in the United States, but I think that only matters if you're rich, right? Or if you're a famous movie star or something. People think of Drew Barrymore, right? And they'll say, oh, Lionel Barrymore and whatnot, if they knew the history of it, right? Or Macaulay Culkin, oh yeah, he's related to Bonnie Bedelia or whatever, right? You can tell I've been reading about Macaulay Culkin, but that's something that's at odds with the left, I think. So the left, they want to at least pretend. They pretend to pander to immigrants and refugees and say, bring as many as you want in. They're going to vote for left-wing ideas. I mean, even Vosh says, no, they'll probably vote Republican, but we owe them. It's just, he may be correct. He may be correct where, yeah, they'll probably vote Republican. But I think that we have oversimplified things, and it's easier for left-wingers to dab on Ben Shapiro and rando Twitter users. It's easier to do that than to actually try to go out in the real world and try to talk to people. It's easier to do that. They'll endlessly talk about how Fox News is evil or Tucker Carlson. It's just like, well, maybe people are stuck in their ways, and they think that if you just get these young folks and suddenly they're going to be on your side. It's like, it's not that easy. People are a little more malleable than that. But honestly, I don't know where I'm going with this now. But basically, I think it's just, they're dog shit arguments everywhere. Especially with the whole, we should take care of the homeless instead of refugees. It's like, yeah, we should, but it's a bullshit argument, And I don't even have anything against Lo-Fi Republican. I know that he has children. So, hey, good for him. I'm glad that he's continuing on his name. And I'm pretty sure he's a teacher, so I'm sure that people have their hot takes, but it's like, where do you go from there? You just want to argue with people there? That's another reason why I don't go on Twitter. It's just like, people want to be so butthurt and they want to dunk on the most rando people. It's just like, why do you care? Why is it any business what some rando guy says about Afghan refugees? It's like, why do you care what some... Here we go. Okay, I'll read the tweet out. Now that I've made a whole video based on it, I'll read the tweet out. How is it even slightly appropriate to suggest that we bring in thousands of refugees when there are over 500,000 homeless people in America right now? And of course, this James Medlock, who is a suck dem, or wait a minute, excuse me, he says, social democrat in the streets, market socialist in the sheets, welfare, labor, and healthcare policy. That man, it's a tax. I can't think of it now. VAT tax. What is it called? Oh, yeah. Value added tax. There we go. Yeah. Value added tax. Okay. Couldn't think of it. But yeah. Must be so stressful for you to have another group of people in the U.S. to actively not give a shit about. It's just like, oh boy. But it's one of these things where the original tweet gets less likes than a reply from a stale Star Wars prequel meme. You know which one I'm talking about. The whole, how can we accept refugees when there are millions of homeless people? So you support housing homeless people, right? And of course, the blank stare of Anakin Skywalker, right? And it's just like, that's a dead meme, bro. It's like that's fairly old. I don't know. I always criticize people and say that's a dead meme, and then I use the footage of the Afghans playing bumper car when that meme is dead too. But at least I realize my hypocrisy. So, but yeah, that's why I don't go on Twitter. Just from this one interaction of this tweet, I almost want to delete my Twitter again and just be like, no, I'm tired of being on Twitter. I get so tired of it. And of course, I've been banned so many times. It's just ridiculous at this point. I don't know. Sorry, I'm looking at Twitter and just thinking there's some funny stuff, but overall, it's just pitiful, pitiful dog shit. Anywho, I think that's all I have to say. You can take what I say and say that's bullshit. You can go ahead, like I said, maybe I'll get some haters that'll come out and be like, you're not, you're wrong because of this, this, and this. And I'll be like, okay, whatever, man, I'm not going to sit here and engage with them. I'm just going to be like, all right, if that's what you believe, go ahead. I'm not going to sit there and bang my head into a brick wall, with the, let me find the Coco Chanel quote. One of my favorite quotes because it's so true. You cannot change people like that. Let me see if I can find the Coco Chanel quote. Coco Chanel wall quotes. Don't be like the rest of them, darling. Oh, yeah, she did marry a German officer, too, about Coco Chanel. I always leave that out, but yeah, let's see here. Coco Chanel. Don't. Oh, yeah. I don't know if that's correct, but yeah, don't spend time beating on a wall hoping to transform it into a door. And that's true, yeah. Don't spend time beating on a wall hoping to transform it into a door. And that's true. You shouldn't. It's just a wall of ignorance. It's a wall of I know better than you. So there's no point in me trying to debate people. There's no point trying to argue with these folks. I'm going to give my take on things. If they don't agree, I'll just be like, okay. It's just like someone was I made a response to Bo the Fifth Column, as I do. That's like one in every 12 videos I'm sure that I've done. And he's like, he wanted to write this diatribe about how Bo the Fifth Column was right and I was wrong. I was just like, oh, I'm glad you like Bo the Fifth Column. And that's all I did. I'm like, I don't feel like arguing with these folks. There's no point. So yeah, anywho, that's all I have to say. That was a long, ranty bit of bullshit. But if you got about half an hour to kill, hopefully y'all enjoy that. And yeah, see you later. Goodbye.